Hello everyone, welcome to the video on GPAT 2022 Crash Course MCQ series. In this video, I have explained previously given GPAT questions on pharmacology with explanation, answer explanation, and this is part 10. I have made already 9 parts. Please view my channel. This is my channel wherein you find all pharma and general science content. If you like the video, do share and subscribe. Let's get into the questions. Now, which of the following drug is associated with the reaction of extreme photosensitivity? Some of the drugs, when they are taken, they cause certain reactions which will cause photosensitivity. Drugs like tetracycline, fluoroquinolones, both of them will show photosensitivity. This is given in 2017 GPAT paper, which contains two of the answers, and later the key is changed. So sometimes it happens in GPAT wherein you find this kind of questions. Both the answers are correct, tetracycline and fluoroquinolones. Moving to the next one. All the dopaminergic agonists having affinity for D2 receptor are clinically used in the following condition except. So D2 receptor agonists are used in which of the following conditions, and one condition is not being treated with that. Let's see options. Parkinsonism. Yes, Parkinsonism is because of decreased levels of dopaminergic transmission. So Parkinsonism is treated with D2 receptors. Now hyperprolactinemia. See, prolactin, growth hormone, both of them, prolactin and growth hormone, both of them release is inhibited by dopamine. So to reduce excess levels of prolactin effect is known as hyperprolactinemia. So this prolactinemia hyper levels can be reduced by using dopamine agonist. Similarly, the excessive levels of growth hormone is what causes acromegaly. So both of them can be treated, in fact, 3 of the diseases can be treated with dopamine agonist. So only disease which cannot be treated with dopamine agonist is obsessive compulsive disorder. So this is the option. So the question asks about except, and this is the exception. In fact, obsessive compulsive disorder OCD is treated with selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, anxiolytics and antidepressants, but not D2 agonists. So the answer is option A. Moving to the next one. Now the analgesic acting centrally is, again this is given in 2017 GPAT question paper. You have 2 of the options are there, like tramadol, methadone. Both of them can get into central nervous system and act as analgesics. They are opioid analogs. They will be acting on mu kappa receptors which are present in central nervous system. So they are considered as centrally acting analgesics. Naloxone, naltrexone are antagonists. If opioid poisoning is there, naloxone is used. So both of them, naloxone, naltrexone, has got antagonist activity. They are not analgesic in action. Moving to the next one. Now, all of the following statements regarding estrogen therapy in post-menopausal women are true except. Now, we need to understand the options and then move ahead. So let us come with the final one. Administered along with progestin. True. Most of the estrogens are given along with progestins. See, this is an except question again. That means all the 3 are correct except one. Now it is useful in treating atopic vaginitis, inflammation, all these things in postmenopausal women is due to reduced levels of estrogen. So this is called as hormone replacement therapy. When estrogen is given, vaginitis is cured. Similarly, it is useful to treat vasomotor symptoms, especially in menopausal women. There is something called as hot flashes. Hot flashes, night sweats, increasing body temperature, everything are considered as vasomotor symptoms, and all of them are because of reduced levels of estrogen. So estrogen therapy will treat this symptom. Only exception for which estrogen cannot be used to treat is it restores the bone mass due to osteoporosis. Understand this option. When estrogen levels are reduced, it causes osteoporosis. Pore means hole, osteo means bone. So when estrogen levels are not enough, calcium loss will be there. That calcium loss is what causes osteoporosis. So you can prevent osteoporosis by using estrogen, but you cannot restore bone mass by hormone replacement therapy. So this cannot be done. So what is this exception here? This one. For this, estrogen hormone replacement therapy cannot be used. So option A is the right answer. Moving to the next one. Neuropathy is an adverse effect of. See, all these drugs are anti-tubercular medication. Now out of this, isoniazid has got a typical neuropathy. The reason is this hydrazine, isonicotinonic acid hydrazine, combines with pyridoxine. Pyridoxine is a B6 vitamin. It forms a hydrazone and the complex goes out of the body. That means pyridoxine B6 levels are reduced due to isoniazid. When the levels are reduced, it causes neuropathy. So to treat neuropathy induced by isoniazid, B6 supplements are given. So which one has got this adverse effect? Isoniazid. Moving to the next one. Now, amantadine is helpful in Parkinson's disease because basically they're asking about what is the mechanism of action of amantadine. It decreases cholinergic activity. No, it is not anticholinergic drug. It is metabolized to dopamine. No, it will not metabolize to dopamine. It liberated dopamine from the nerve endings. True. It is also known as dopamine facilitator. When amantadine is taken, it increases the release of dopamine. So this is the right answer. Next, it increases adrenergic activity. No. All these options are wrong. Only the correct one is it liberates dopamine from nerve endings. Now moving to the next one. Now which of the following adverse effect is caused by thioridazine? Thioridazine is neuroleptic drug or antipsychotic drug. See, all the CNS active drugs will get into brain. They can easily cross blood-brain barrier. Once they get into the brain, they will have multitude of adverse effects. Now, thioridazine will cause tardive dyskinesia, constipation, orthostatic hypotension. All of them will occur. Hence, the option D is the correct one. Dyskinesia. Kinesia means movement. There is a movement problem, and that is what is called as tardive dyskinesia. Constipation, orthostatic. Orthostatic means in a standing position, it will cause hypotension, reduced PP. All the three are caused by thioridazine. So option all the above is the correct one. Moving to the next one. Now, the platelet activation process involves the following step. Now, we need to understand what all the steps are there. See, initially when there is a vascular injury is there, when blood vessel injury is there, what happens is the nearby platelet will come and attaches here. Once it is attached, the process is called as adhesion. Attachment is known as adhesion. Now, once it is attached, it gets activated and releases certain chemicals. The chemicals are known as chemotactic chemicals. The releasing chemical process is known as secretion. It is secreting certain chemicals. Now, once these chemotactic mediators are released, all the platelets are called off and all of them will surround here. And this process is called as aggregation. So, the three basic steps are adhesion, secretion and aggregation. Degradation is not there with platelet activation. So, what all the steps are there? 1, 2 and 3. Adhesion, secretion and aggregation. So, this is the right answer. Moving to the next one. Now, the oral oligosaccharide hypoglycemic agent which is administered at the start of meal. Now, see, pioglitazone, meglitol, acarbose, glimepiride, all of them are hypoglycemic agent. Now, pioglitazone is insulin secretagogue. Whereas glimepiride is also insulin secretagogue. This is a sulfonyl urea. Now, meglitol, acarbose, both of them alpha glucosidase inhibitors. See, alpha glucosidase enzyme is the final enzyme which releases glucose from carbohydrates. So, when this enzyme inhibitor is taken, glucose release is inhibited. So, they reduce hyperglycemic effect. See, both of them belong to same class, but meglitol is an amino sugar, whereas acarbose is a oligosaccharide. So the question is asking about which one is an oligosaccharide which is taken before meals, and the option C, acarbose, is the right answer. Moving to the next one. Select the drug which exhibits dual alpha and beta adrenergic receptor agonist activity. See, alpha and beta. See, terbutaline has got beta agonistic activity, especially beta 2 agonist activity is there. Clonidine is alpha 2 activity is there. Metoprolol is also selectively acting on beta 2 receptors. Now, dobutamine has got beta 1, beta 2 as well as alpha 2 agonist activity is also there. So, the question is about dual activity, alpha as well as beta activity, and that is what we see with dobutamine. So, the option D is the correct option. Moving to the next one. Now, when considering drug delivery to the brain, which of the following is false? Again, see, this is false question. So, 3 of the statements are true, 1 is false, and we need to find out which one is false one is. Let us see one by one. See, the cells in the blood vessel that supply the brain are tightly connected, which restricts drug absorption. True. Blood-brain barrier has got this tight junction which will restrict all the drug absorption. So, this is true. We are looking for false one. Now, only relatively small lipophilic molecule readily passively diffuse into the brain. This is true. Lipophilic small molecule can be passively diffused. Now, the next one, look at this. Drugs with low log P value show improved passive diffusion to the brain. No, this is contradicting this statement. Low log P means they are not lipophilic, they are hydrophilic. They cannot pass passively. This is not true, and this is what we are looking about. This statement is false. Let us see the last one. Polar molecules can be taken up into the brain through active transport. This is true. You know, levodopa is given to treat Parkinson's disease. Now, levodopa is a polar molecule. It is taken by active transport into the brain. So, this is also possible for drug delivery into the brain. So, only the false statement is this one. So, option C is the right answer here. Moving to next one. Now, which of the following statement is not true about prokaryotes? See, you have eukaryotes and prokaryotes are there. The statements, again, this is about not true means false one. See, nucleus is not bound by nuclear membrane. True, that is the reason why they are called as prokaryotes. Whereas in eukaryotes, a nuclear membrane is there. Cell wall contains peptidoglycan. True. Now, it is haploid in nature. Yes, this is true. Instead of 46 chromosomes, 23 chromosomes are there. Now, what is not true? 80S ribosomes are distributed in cytoplasm. Read the option carefully. 80S. 80S is present in eukaryotes, whereas 70S ribosomes are present in prokaryotes. So 80S is not present in prokaryotes. So this option is not true. And we are looking for not true one. So this is the answer. Option C is the answer. Moving to the next one. Which of the following are obligatory intracellular parasites? Now, when you see about parasites, we have two types of parasites are there. Obligatory means they need the support of cell. A living cell is required for their survival. Whereas there are certain other organisms known as facultative. Now, these facultative organisms can be present on living as well as non-living organisms. Like see, fungi, they can survive on human cells or they can survive on soil and water also. Mycobacterium, tuberculosis causing one, it can survive in soil as well as in human cells. But virus and rickettsia, both of them, they can only survive on cells. Without cell support, they cannot survive. So which one is right answer? 1 and 4. Option B is the right answer. Moving to the next one. Now identify the correct pair. Now sympathetic stimulation causes bronchoconstriction? No, in fact beta 2 stimulation causes bronchodilation. So this is not correct. Parasympathetic stimulation causes secretion of gastric juice. Yes, this is true. Parasympathetic activities are known as SLUDD. Salivation, lacrimation, urination, defecation, digestion. See, all of them, the digestion is because of increased gastric juices. So this is the right pair. The other one, sympathetic stimulation, contraction of pupil. No, it causes dilation of pupil, which is known as mydriasis. Now, parasympathetic stimulation, dilation of pupil. No, it causes contraction of pupil, which is known as miosis. So the right answer here is option B. Next one, the last one. Identify the hormone that stimulates sperm production in testis, ovulation in females. Now both of them are because of luteinizing hormone. This luteinizing hormone is responsible for ovulation as well as sperm production. Prolactin, see, the job of prolactin is milk production in nursing mothers. Now follicle stimulating hormone will help in the growth of sperm and ovulation, but not release of ovulation and everything. Now adrenocorticotropic hormone, cortisol, is released with this hormone. So option here, the right answer is luteinizing hormone. Thank you for watching this video. If you like the video, do subscribe and share the video. Thank you.